How to make fast commas. Probably one of the top searched questions in all of the Dofus content. But the phrase is a bit misleading. If all you really wanted to do was make fast commas, that's easy to do. Take something of value, list it for a fraction of the price of what it's worth, and boom, it'll sell pretty quickly. But that's not what we're really looking for. What we really want is how do we make the most commas possible for the time we invest to make it. And that, my friend, is a constantly moving target. Some ways just clearly work better than others, and depending on the update in the game, it could change dramatically. So in this video, I'm going to bring to you 10 unique ways I thought of for you to possibly make commas. If you enjoyed Dofus guides, tips, and gameplay, consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications so you don't miss any of my future videos. And if you could do me one super fast favor and just smack that like button, it would really help the channel out. Okay, let's do this. Not everybody is keen on the idea of breeding mounts, which is a long and slow process. But another option for possibly making money is leveling mounts. If XP is something that isn't really applicable to you anymore, or you're not really worried about it, grab yourself a low-level, cheap mount that comes in high demand. This one right here is level 5, 190,000, you can buy it. If you level it all the way up, it looks like they're running for about 1 million commas. Again, this is a slow grind kind of comma turn, and you got to be careful about what mounts you're looking at. Pay attention to the stats. Pay attention to what else is in the market. If you're looking down through here and there's 10 or 12 of these things all ready for sale, it might be a mount that's not really in that much demand anymore, so that may not be a good one to choose. But if you find a mount that is in high demand, get a low-leveled one, leveled up, and you can relist it for a huge profit, could be really worth it. Pro tip, if you cast the mount taming spell before the end of every one of your fights, you could get an extra 25% mount XP on each of those battles. Okay, this next one takes a little bit more research, but again, it could turn some big profit for you if you know what you're looking for. What you want to do is keep an eye out for people in the merch mode. Sometimes people don't really know what an item is worth, and so they take a guess, or perhaps they look at just the average price listed on the bottom of an item. If you're familiar with the markets or particular items, check these people out. Keep an eye on them. You're looking for quantity over quality in a lot of these, because if somebody lists a bunch of these at a low price and you can turn around, put them in the market for a big price, that's how you can make your money. Good thing to keep an eye out for are things that are always in high demand and sell quickly, such as rows of sands, characteristic scrolls, XP scrolls, nuggets, and even quest-related drops. Those things can be a good thing to keep an eye out for, so you can purchase them, go put them up in the market. Great places to look for people in merch mode. Definitely check out the Amokna village area over through here. All around the ALMANAX sanctuary is another really good spot. And even the Breeder's Village can have quite a few people standing over there in merch mode. Yes, the ALMANAX Temple's daily quests can be a great place to get XP and commas, but there's another side of it that people sometimes do not pay attention to. If you go to the Dofus website and you can go to the ALMANAX, you can look ahead at the dates that are to come for the ALMANAX quest. Click through there, find some dates where you know you can gather a bunch of the resources that are going to be needed, and then go hit that area up really hard in advance. Maybe even go check out the market, see if the prices are down kind of low because people aren't watching for the ALMANAX. Then when the day comes that you've been preparing for, own the market. Put that stuff in there, keep an eye on it. That stuff will usually sell pretty quickly, but it's also going to be fairly competitive, so you might want to keep an eye on it if the goal is to try to make money on that day. And that's the other thing to keep in mind is some people do watch ALMANAX for the market sales, so you got to keep an eye on it if you really want to make a buck out of this. Okay, this idea pairs pretty well with that previous one, but it's also a fantastic standalone suggestion. Buy items in bulk and then relist them in smaller intervals. Typically, you can find sets like this farmland substrate, where someone has put a set of 100 at a lower price because people don't always have the money to buy 100 at a time. But if you do the math on this, these farmland substrates at 100 are coming out to about 2,000 commas a piece. If you buy that whole thing, you could then relist sets of 10 at 24,000 a piece, which means you're making 4,000 commas per set of 10, or you can even list them individually at almost the 3,000 mark and get almost an extra 1,000 commas per substrate. Now again, it might take a while for all those to sell, and you do run the risk of somebody undercutting you for a while. But with a profit margin like that, you can make your money back and then some pretty easily and for almost no work. You're literally just investing your money to make money, no work involved. Sometimes you can play the flip side of that as well. For example, this gleaming pedal, you can buy one right now for 39,000, or somebody is selling a bulk of 10 at 450. That's about a 50,000 comma difference if you buy 10. Obviously, the gleaming pebble may not have 10 of them at that price, so maybe you only shop them when you find them super cheap. Once you've got 10, then list the bulk of 10 or 100 if you got up that high at a profit. And again, you're just taking someone else's effort, relisting it for yourself to make a profit. Another thing to be mindful of are some things sell better in bulk. So don't try and list at 1s and 10s if you know that 100 is going to sell way faster. Cereals are typically a really good example of something that typically sells better in bulks of 100 than in 10s, and definitely better than in 1s. Another great way to make commas, and definitely one that only gets tapped every once in a while, are run the dungeons and soul capture things that are needed for quest lines. This would work for multiple quest lines, but one I'm pulling out specifically is the Emerald, because I feel like the dungeons that are needed are fairly low in the grand scheme of things, so you don't have to be level 200 to be able to go get those soul stones. Here's one example, at least here on the Echo, of where the Wa Wobot dungeon is selling for 130,000 commas, and I know they sell for that much because I've sold them for that much. The 5 dungeons involved in the Emerald Dofus questline is the Quaqua's Nest, the Haunted House, the Cannibal Village, Bruman Tictora's Laboratory, and Wa Wabbit's Warren. Those 5 dungeons, go out there, use your free key every week, capture them, throw them in the market, they'll sell, you'll make some commas. Bonus tip, if you run your own team of 2 or 4 or 8 and you run the dungeon, split up into smaller groups and capture as many of those as you can on a single run, and you can make some serious money. Another suggestion I've got for you is pretty similar, and that's sell Arc Monsters. Believe it or not, some people are still trying to get through that Eternal Harvest quest. So keep some stones on you. When you're running around, you spot one, try to capture it, list it in the market for some money. Now, if you're on Elizale, I found out it's pretty common to just sell the location of an Arc Monster. So if you're out in the boondock, someplace that you know is not going to get run over here very quickly, start shouting out in the recruitment or the merch channels, find somebody who's interested in the Arc Monster and sell the location to them for a price. Alright, it wouldn't be a comma making tip guide if I didn't include treasure hunting. Probably the least unique idea I got in the entire video. However, it's super easy commas. You can do it solo. You can do it at almost any level, plus you get the bonus of possibly rolling scale fragments and things that you can also sell in the market. XP scrolls that you can sell in the market. You may not get a whole bunch of them, but you do enough of these and sell those in bulk, and you can make a ton of money doing something that's very easy at any level. If by any chance you need a guide on how to do treasure hunting in the easiest, most foolproof way, I do have a guide on my channel that will walk you through the entire process, including showing you the website that walks you through how to find almost everything you need, and I will link it also in the description below. Okay, this method also is not a very conventional or fast way to make a lot of commas, but if you didn't know this, when you start alternate characters on the same account, you may not get the resource bonus any longer, but each achievement you knock out, you do still get the comma bonus. So if you've been thinking about starting another character, go ahead and do it, but make sure you chase down those achievements again, because you get the commas with them, and it all adds up. Alright, this suggestion pairs very well with that previous one I just said, because you're going to be up here anyways, but don't underestimate the selling of low-level meats. Even if you never take your profession above level 10, these intangible meats sell fast and they sell really well because people want to skip these levels. And depending on your level, you might be able to come back here and turn these fights really fast, put on some extra prospecting and get a 100% drop rate on these. You could make some pretty decent money. The XP is going to be horrible, but you can make some pretty good money doing very super fast fights. Okay, another idea. Instead of just logging out of Dofus, switch your character into merch mode when you log off. If you didn't know this, you can click on your character and say, organize my shop. Then you can set yourself up to sell any resource that you want, just like you were listing it in the market. Then when you log off, find yourself a location with less than 6 people already on it, switch to merch mode and click yes, and when you log out, just like these characters here, you'll be set up with a little merchant bag next to you. Then when you come back, who knows, you might have sold some stuff. If you want to be effective in merch mode, do like what these people have done. Come to a dungeon and sell the keys that are associated with that entrance. Or go to an area that you know has restricted access unless you carry a particular resource. Set up merch mode there with those resources. If you have a whole bunch of arc monsters or soul stones full of dungeons, set up right outside the arena with a bunch of those in the market. Earlier, when I talked about doing the ALMANAX, if you looked ahead and you found out a bunch of things that are going to be needed over the next several days, put them all in your merch mode, and then this map is usually taken, but the maps that are just right around it are also often checked to see if they're selling the merchandise that's needed. So you could set up right in here as well. Also keep an eye out for things like dungeon rushers and special events where people are going to be wanting to run that a whole bunch. You can set up in merch mode with the keys or the resources needed for those, possibly make some money off of a special event. Okay, and here's my bonus tip for you, but it is a bit of a gamble, so you need to know what you're doing if you try to go for this. Now, here on Echo, and I'm not sure what the price is on Elizale, but here on Echo, you can check the price of the pet food here. If you didn't know this, 2 pieces of pet food will take a level 1 pet up to level 43. So if we bought 2 pieces of pet food here, we'd be looking at just under 80,000 KAMAS. Next, you find yourself a low-level pet for dirt cheap, and then check to see how many are in the market that are leveled up. This one, for example, is at level 52 and they've got it listed at 500,000 KAMAS. You're only going to be able to get to level 43 with 2 of those foods. So you figure 80,000 KAMAS and you spend maybe 2,000 KAMAS, so you're about 82,000 KAMAS invested. If you put yours at even half the price of this one, say you listed it at 250, your odds of selling are pretty good because you're not too far behind level 52 and all you spent was 80,000 KAMAS. Well, 250 minus the 80, you're still banking about 160, 170,000 KAMAS plus. Now granted, you gotta pick a pet that's gonna sell. Also, now that this video is out there might be some other people that are doing this and slowly undercutting one another. So just be mindful and play the market very carefully because you can make some really good money on these if you pick your pet and your timing just right. All right, well, hopefully at least 1 or 2 of those were things that maybe you hadn't thought of before or maybe triggered something in your mind for an idea that you might have. If anything stood out to you as was very helpful to you, maybe you hadn't thought of it before, let me know. Leave it in the comments below that was an idea that you were very excited to find out about. Also, just as a reminder, if you don't want to miss out on any of my future content, guides, or gameplay, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of those videos. And one last time, if you could do me a huge favor and just smack that like button, it would really help the channel out. Until next time, you all be safe out there, and I'll see you on the next one.